What's up, everybody? Adam Maness here, and today is day one of my February locked hand and drop two challenge. I'm going to be practicing every day with these two great voicing concepts. So let's get to it. So why locked hand and why drop two? Well, I love these voicings. I use them on every gig that I play, and I really wanted to take this opportunity to kind of both explore new possibilities for me and then lock it in so that it comes out in my performances. And at first I was just going to do drop two, but then I thought I love these locked hand sounds so much that I should really use these two, and they're related, so it made a lot of sense. So what is the difference between locked hand and drop two? Well, locked hand voicings, sometimes called shearing voicings because of the great George Shearing used these voicings a lot, are based off the octave. So if we have a D minor 6, we have D on the outside of the chord, and then the rest of the chord, F, A, B natural, is filled in the middle. And then you can move these around, right? It's a little diminished thing in between. That's from Barry Harris's 6 diminished concept, which we can talk about in a little bit. And then the drop two is that same concept, but you take the second note from the top, in this case B natural, you drop it down an octave, and you omit the lowest note here, which is that low D, and you get this. E, F, A, D. And it can be moved around just the same way. Now, it doesn't matter what scale you play with these. These can be played with any scale at all. I mentioned Barry Harris's 6 diminished because a lot of people associate both of these with that style. It works so well. But you don't need to use that at all. In fact, you don't need to know anything about it. It's really just the structure of the voicings. And a lot of the greats of this music, what I love about the way they approach both these concepts is it wasn't often just chord, 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 chord fired at you. They were used as devices for either octaves or tenths, because the locked hands is an octave space, right, with those Ds on the outside, and the drop two is a tenth space, right? The outside notes are B and D here, and so when you move them around, you're actually moving around tenths, and that's how the great players use them. You'll hear them use more tenths and then filling in the chords. So the chord in the middle might not move for 2, 3 notes, but the tenths are moving or the octaves are moving. So that's how I want to use them, because it's the most practical way to do it. All right, so I'm probably going to be doing mostly tunes this month. I might do some little excerpts of solos or licks or even little etudes that I write with both these concepts. But today I'm going to start with the great standard Alone Together. I'm going to do the first A locked hand, I'm going to do the second A drop two, I'll do the bridge locked hand, and I'll do the C section drop two, and I think that's it. All right, let's get to it. Bam, looks good. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Drop two. Locked in. Drop two. Happy practicing. Hey, what's up, folks? Adam Maness here. Day 2 of my February lock hand drop 2 challenge. Thanks for everybody for all the love for day 1. And we even got some questions that I'm happy to talk about. I was going to do sort of a series of tunes, of the heads to tunes with the lock hand and the drop 2. But I'm happy to kind of explain a little further what I'm thinking as I'm doing this, and we can all work on it together. I'm always down for a good refresher of some of these fundamentals. One question that was asked, how am I applying these concepts, these voicing structures to scales? And there's like 1,000 ways that you can apply these voicings to scales, but I'll give you what I think is like the most basic, for me anyway, way that I actually use these in concerts. There's, you could start with just literally moving these up diatonically, something like so the locked hand, literally just chunking your hand, in a diatonic shape and moving it up. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great sound sometimes. But it does create a lot of like voice leading issues for me. And I think there's just a couple of more elegant ways that we can apply these voicings to scales. So I'll show you my very favorite, most basic way to do it. And that's really to outline the chord itself using an arpeggio, and then move the outside notes up one note, but keeping the chord the same. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here, if we have our C major 6 chord, right? C, E, G, A, and C. That's the locked hand version. This is the drop 2, right? But we'll just talk about locked hand right now. Understanding that drop 2 can be applied to any of these things. We learned about that yesterday. Okay, so here's my C major 6. So if I wanted to go up the C major scale, I could do it, like I said, diatonically is like the most basic way. But I don't know, I'm not a fan. So I like to keep the inner voices the same of the chord and move the outside notes. Now, before we do that, though, we should define what we're gonna be moving from. And the way to do that is to take this C major 6 chord and go in inversions. So here's what the E will be. Here is what the, I can't do this one hand. Here's what the G will be. Here's what the A will be. And then we're back to C, right? Those are the shapes of the chord tones themselves. Yeah? So from here, we have these shapes. Now we just move that outside note up 1. This is very French sounding, very Ravel WC sounding. Now here, between the G and the A, there's nowhere to go. So this is where we move the whole chord on 7-note scales. Like when we're doing the Barry Harris 6 diminished thing, there's that extra note between, which is why there's all those diminished chords. But for this French sounding is what we'll call it, purpose, between that whole step there, we just change the chords. And then, yeah. And it's this exact same concept with the drop 2. It's just in drop 2, but it's the same thing. You want to outline the chord tones first, and then realize those are the shapes where we're moving those outside notes up. So I'm going to practice this in basically like what I would use on a 2, 5, 1, and F. I'm going to do F major 6 first. I'm going to go up and down, up to the 9th, and then back down because I like to get that sound. Going down is actually the challenging part because you don't have those chord tones, like the chord tone shape isn't the first shape you hit. You actually hit the one that has the voice that has moved. So you have to kind of anticipate that. That's why we practice. So I'll do F major 6 first. I'll do it in locked hands and then drop 2. Then I'll do G minor 7. It's the same concept. We outline our chord, right? G minor 7, G, B flat, D, F. And we go through those chord tones till we get back. Notice the whole step jump here is at the end between the 7th and the root. And then we add in our moving notes. This is where it gets exceptionally French. Beautiful. Right? And then I'll do a C dominant chord. Woo! Isn't that great? Yeah. Simple. With the dominant chord, I kind of alternate between like a regular C7 and then a 9 in some of those voicings when it gets on the 5th and stuff, just because I like the way it sounds. So, there's no hard and fast rules with anything. Let's not let's not beat theory to death here with this stuff. Let's do what we think sounds good, right? All right, so I'm gonna go through each one of these in lock hand and then drop 2, and hope you enjoy. Set, bam. All right, here's the F major 6 in lock hand. I'm gonna outline the chord first. Go back down. Okay, now I'm going to add my movers on the outside note. Go up to the 9th. How beautiful is that? All right, let's do it in drop 2. First we'll outline the chord. F major 6. Do that one more time because I missed the note up there. Almost. Okay, so let's move on to the G minor 7. This would be the 2 and the 2-5. With the locked hand, we'll outline our chord. I should say, what's so great about outlining these chords first is that then when you go to improvise, you've already practiced playing these as broken chords, right? You don't have to think about it, and then you can start filling in chord tones when you want to do that, when you're hearing it. All right, so again, now let's add the moving outside notes. Drop 2. Drop 2 is always a little bit different because we want to keep those tenths. So it's not like you're exactly dropping down. We want that bottom note to move with the top note. So it'll be just slightly different. Outline our chord. Went too soon. Okay, now the moving notes. Do that again just to make sure I got it. You can hear how useful this is going to be both in comping and playing melodies. Okay, now the dominant chord. This is the beautiful king of these. First we'll outline. And now we'll add our movers. To the 9. Now our drop 2. Now our movers. Time with that. Okay, good. So I realized a couple of things that I'm a little bit shaky on the drop 2 with this technique. So I'm going to have to spend a little more time with it, but that's good. That's why we're doing this challenge, so we can find our weaknesses and try to patch that up. So yeah, let me know how you're practicing this. I want to see your version of this. And until tomorrow, happy practicing. Hey, what's up folks? Adam Maness here, and today I want to pick up right where we left off from yesterday's challenge. This is day 3. We're going to continue on with that technique that I was talking about, kind of the French way of moving. French, it's not really French, but this chord stays the same in the middle, but we're moving the outside notes on either locked hand or drop two. It doesn't really matter. They're related so similarly. So is the same as you get the idea. So let's actually play a tune with this concept. Before we get super deep into that, though, I had a question about hand position. I had the phone yesterday. I was taping by myself, so I had it over here on the piano. You probably couldn't see my hands very well. In both drop two and locked hands, the majority of the work is being done with the right hand, and the left hand is usually playing just one note. That's not a rule so much as that's usually just how this works out. So with the locked hands here, I'm playing the top four notes with my right hand, and the bottom note with just the left hand. Drop two, it's the same thing, but only three notes on the right. So that's how I usually play those. I'm sure some people do it differently, but that seems to be the common way to do it. Okay, so today I want to do On Green Dolphin Street. Great jam session standard, a great way to practice this technique. Before I do, I want to just kind of demonstrate one cool thing that we didn't talk about yesterday, but applies to these sort of structured voicings that we're doing, these lock hand drop two voicings. And that's the way you can use the diminished scale in this sort of way where the chord stays the same and the outside notes move. And it's really effective on dominant chords like the G7 flat 9 or the B flat 7 flat 9 can work really well. So like if we're on G7 flat 9, if we start, let's say, on the 7th here, right, F diminished, right, which we know relates to that G7 flat 9, if we move the outside notes on the whole half diminished scale in this case, right, our chords are just the diminished chords going up. We move those outside notes up the diminished scale. We're starting on F, that's whole step, half step, F, G, then switch the chord, A flat, B flat. It just cycles over in minor thirds. So this works really great on things like 2-5-1s. Right, gives you that dominant sound. Be great for soloing. There's some variants you could do where instead of doing full diminished, you do this minor 6 sound. We'll get into that a little bit later in the month. But for now, just consider this diminished. So whatever dominant chord you're on, if it's C7, you can think about it like maybe starting from either the flat 9 or the 7th or even the 3rd. You know, do that same thing we did yesterday where you're filling out the chord and then moving the notes up the diminished scale. So if we're starting there on C7 flat 9, we're starting on that D flat, we just go D flat, then move up to E flat on the outside notes, change the chord, up a whole step, change the chord. It's super, super useful. Really fun, really great way to use this sound. All right, we're gonna do Green Dolphin Street. I'll do the first half of this, drop two, and then I'll do the second half of this in lock hands. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So some things that you might have noticed is I didn't play every single note of the melody with the locked hands. Like when I got here to the... Remember, these are devices with the locked hands for octaves, because those outside notes are octaves, and for the drop 2 for tenths. So when I was doing that, like all tenths are kind of in fair play there. I think if you think about it like that, like either this is a device for octaves and adding chords to that, or tenths and adding chords to that, it's going to click in a lot faster than just trying to go chord, 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 chord. All right, so that's day 3. Join me tomorrow for day 4, and until then, happy practicing. Hey, what's up, everybody? Adam Maness here for day 4 of my lock hand drop 2 challenge. We're going to keep it rolling here. I'm going to do the first A of the great bebop classic Scrapple from the Apple. I'm going to first do it in locked hand, and then I'm going to do it in drop 2. But first, I'm going to break it down for you a little bit to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to be mixing a combination of using sort of this diminished sound and then this sort of what I've been calling French sound, which is not really French, but it's where the middle, the guts of the chord stay the same, but we move that outside note. So if we just do this first A in lock hand, I'll kind of go through slow. So the first phrase is, if we do it locked hand, G minor 7 is our first chord. It starts on the F sharp, a little pickup note. So we could actually just play it in octaves, because remember, locked hand is a device for octaves where we add chords to it. But I like this diminished going to the chord. Now, in this video, you're going to see me play a lot of just straight octaves and then adding chords. And this is one way that we're able to play kind of like swinging heads and swinging solos, and not just be chord, 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 as I've been saying every day, pretty much. So this is our first example here at the end of this phrase. I kind of abandoned it there because it just fits in my hand. And then on the C7, you might have noticed I'm playing a C major 6 for all of you harmony nerds out there. That's because I think the melody pops better when there's not this cluster at the top. So again, this first phrase. Right? The second phrase. In locked hands, that would be on C7. Right? I kind of go off the chord a little bit. And then I completely go off on that fall down. And then play this note by itself. Even that. Right? The third phrase starts with, I like to start it with this diminished. We're on a C7. So yesterday I talked about this diminished device, right? C7, here I can start on G diminished, G on the outside and diminished. So this first note of this phrase is A, so I can use this, right? Diminished, right up that diminished scale. And then abandon the chord again, so again that phrase. Right, so that have a single note or an octave for the chord, and then the diminished. Again, this is the B diminished. And then the last phrase of that first A section. That's straight from our, with F major 6, moving that outside note. And then just a diminished thing here, because I like the way it sounds. Again, follow your ears. There's no like theory rules for all of this. There are, but you don't have to follow. The D7 flat 9 that I'm throwing in there. So the whole phrase sounds like. Pretty great. Let's hear it in drop 2. It's a similar thing. Right? And then the second phrase. Tenths, right? Instead of octaves, this is based off tenths. more time with the drop 2, 3, 4. Drop 2 some more, but that's our first A to Scrapple from the Apple. Join me tomorrow for more lock hand and drop 2, and until then, happy practicing. What's up, everyone? Adam Maness back for day 5 of my lock hands drop 2 challenge. It's February 5th, 2-5, so I thought I'd do a bunch of 2-5s. I'm going to do rhythm changes, and I'm going to focus on the first A section, lock hands, the second A section, drop 2, the bridge lock hands, and the last A section, drop 2. We're going to throw a new scale in the mix today, the altered scale. So the first chord of rhythm changes, I should say, is B flat, of course. The second chord is G7, and often we play it as an altered because it goes to a minor chord, the C minor 7. Right? We could do half whole, but half whole has that E natural. It sounds okay, but I think it sounds better to have an altered sound go into a minor chord. And then that F7, we can use a half whole diminished sound. Right, that we talked about the other day, where we take those diminished chords, move those outside notes. But let's get back to that altered. So G7 altered, we just use the same techniques we did before. We can take the chord, the A flat, you can think of it as A flat minor 6, right? Because an A flat melodic minor sound is the G altered scale. Lots of tension in that one. And that's it. And it's the same as drop 2 as locked hand. Same principles apply, just a different scale. All right, let's give it a go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's up, everybody? Adam Maness here. We're recording some You'll Hear It podcast episodes, and I'm taking a break to record my daily lock hand drop 2 challenge. It's day 6. It's February 6th. And today I'm focusing on one cool little lick that I use over dominant chords to get to a tonic chord. And it goes a little something like this. Right? So I have G7, and it's really an altered sound. The first voicing is G, B natural, E flat, B flat, and then I move those outer 2 notes, this is a theme of this challenge, down, and then I can land. Now here's the cool thing. Even though this is kind of a altered scale thing, you can take this lick down and up in minor thirds, just like a diminished scale thing, even though it really isn't. And it becomes this weird combination of notes that don't really make theoretical sense, but because they follow this pattern, it sounds really cool. So, right? I just transpose that down, that lick down a minor third. I can start it up a minor third as well. All right, and then there's one more. And because this is kind of based off this diminished scale thing in minor thirds, there's only a few of these to learn. take that down, let's say, or take it up a half step. That works for F7, A flat 7, B7, and D7. I take it up one more. That works for C7, A7, G flat 7, and E flat 7. So this one little lick, whether in drop 2 or locked hands, can work in this amazing way as a dominant chord resolving to a 1. Check it out. And until next time, happy practicing. What's up, folks? Adam Maness here for day 6. Is this day 6? Is February 6th?
7th.
February 7th, day 7 of the February Lock Hands Drop 2 Challenge. We're in the thick of it now. I'm forgetting the days. This is the 7th day. I had a great conversation earlier with a friend of mine, Brian Fielding, who's been watching these, and we're talking about simplifying today's version of this. So I'm going to do kind of a simple lick that you can take through a 2-5-1 progression. We're going to move it down in whole steps, and when we get through the whole step sequence, we'll take it up a half step and then move it through that whole step sequence so we hit all 12 keys. This is a little bit of a drop to 12 key challenge today. And the lick is pretty simple. We'll start it here in C, 2-5 in C, D minor, G7, and then C. And it goes something like this. The melody is... sorry. Right? So. Now we're going to do this in only drop 2. So Dan's going to come around my shoulder here to show what keys I'm hitting. So we'll start with the D, D minor, D, A, C, E, and then for the, we rock back to this diminish, the C sharp diminish. And then back to the D minor. And then we keep the inner 2 notes the same and we move that 10th up diatonically like we've been talking about. And now we go to that diminished scale trick we were talking about yesterday. Right? F, B, E flat A. This is over the G7. Keep the inner notes the same, move the outer notes up diatonically on the diminished scale. And then take that lick a minor third down and reverse it, flip it and reverse it. Right? So that whole G7 sequence is... Oh man, that's some great tension. So the entire lick sounds like this. Now, I just caught myself using a bunch of sustain pedal in order to get a good sound. One of the things I'm going to do as I go through all 12 keys on this one is try not to use any sustain pedal. And I highly recommend that you practice these drop 2 and locked hand concepts without sustain pedal because it's just good for your brain to want to hear the sound sustained without using the pedal. Your fingers will learn to play more legato than if you're just jamming the pedal down all the time. So let's tie our foot back behind the piano bench so we're not even tempted to do it. So I'm going to start in C. And then from here, I'm just going to go down in whole steps, which means I just take this C major and turn it into the 2 of B flat, which is C minor. G flat. Now we're in the key of E. No pedal at all. Now we're in the key of D. Okay, from here, if I were to keep going, we'd be back to C. So from here, we'll go to E flat. Right? Key of B, I'm going to take it up here. Let's try that one again. Key of A. Key of G. key of E flat. Let's do that one again because I had a cack on that. And that's all 12 keys. Now, you noticed a few times I went back and I did it again if I messed it up. This is part of practicing. We really want to identify what we can't do well, and then target that until we can do it well. And so that's what we're trying to find. What keys are difficult for us? Where do we just not see it? With drop 2, there's many opportunities to notice that, like, I'm just not seeing this shape the way I see it in C or F or E flat or whatever. And that's where we want to focus. Then you spend your time in those keys like B, A, E. You really get it so it's second nature, so that when you're on the gig, you don't have to think about it at all. It just comes. All right, I'll see you back here tomorrow for more lock hand drop 2. And until then, happy practicing. What's up, everybody? Adam Maness here for day 8 of my drop 2 lock hand February challenge. I got asked yesterday by Anthony about grace notes. Grace notes are super simple to do with this lock hand and drop 2 technique. Nico, come over my shoulder with the camera, please. So if we have our D minor here, right? So I'm already doing it. You can flick those outer notes, that octave. And you can do this drop 2 or locked hand. Even with that half hole, that sort of altered half hole thing we've been doing, all sounds great. So I'm going to do this little 5-1 pattern through all keys. Right, that's in C. I'm just going to practice those grace notes by flicking. Let's see, here's F. B flat. E flat. A flat. D flat. Let's see, G flat. B, E, A, woo, D. Let's try that again. Oh, one more time. Oh, one more time. Stop. All right, and finally G. All right, very cool. I'm going to have to go back and revisit D again because it wasn't as natural as the other. I mean, that's the thing with these drop 2. If you go through the circle of fourths, you can really see which ones you have and which ones you don't have. All right, so join me again for tomorrow for day 9. And until then, happy practicing. What's up, folks? Adam Maness here, day 9 of my lock hand drop 2 challenge. Today I'm doing all the things you are. And I think I'll do this all drop 2. Let's see how it happens. Hey, what's up, folks? Adam Maness here for day 10 of my locked hands drop 2 challenge. All right, it's day 10. Let's get to it. We're finally going to talk about the Barry Harris 6th diminished scale and how we can use that technique on locked hands and drop 2. Today I'm going to play Stella by Starlight, and there's the section in the B section of the tune where it kind of walks down. And then it does the same thing in F. Right? So this is a perfect place where we can talk about this Barry Harris 6th diminished scale. Before we get super far into it though, let me just give you a brief rundown of what I'm talking about here. So we have our C major 6 chord in locked hands, right? We've already learned this sort of French sounding technique. The Bear Harris thing is different because it's not based off the major scale. It's based off the 6 diminished scale. There's a little chromatic half step thing between the G and the A in the key of C, between the 5th and the 6th. That's Earl, by the way. Every studio needs a good dog. So there's this extra half step. Now, if we take every other note of this scale, we get the C major 6. And then if we move that up, each scale tone, check it out, D diminished. And then if we move those up, each note up one scale tone diatonically, right? Because of that extra note, it gives us this major 6 diminished, major 6 diminished, major 6 diminished, major 6 diminished, major 6 all the way up. That's why it's so cool. And it works the same way with like a minor 6. What a sound. Okay, so back to Stella. So on that bridge, right, so that part there. So if we're in the key of B flat here, locked hands, I'm gonna go diminished for this E flat. Right, I'm walking down that B flat 6 diminished scale to locked hand voicing. So diminished, B flat major 6, diminished, B flat major 6, and then we'll go to our half diminished. And then even here on this D minor, right, I have G, which is diminished, right, with a minor 6 diminished scale. And then we go to F. Right, there are just so many opportunities in this tune and many other tunes to do this 6 diminished kind of harmony with, it sounds just so good with the locked hands drop 2 because it is that major 6, diminished, major 6 going up the scale. Does that make sense? Let me know if you have any more questions. I have like 20 more days to cover all this stuff. So I can definitely come back to this. But it's such a cool technique. I love both of these sounds, the sort of French sound is what we call it, and the 6 diminished. I think having a healthy mix of both is a great way to get a varied sound in your drop 2 approach. Okay, so let's do Stella by Starlight. I'm gonna do it locked hands fully, and I'm gonna throw in some bass notes here so you can kind of hear the form a little bit. What's up, folks? Maness here for day 11 of my drop 2 locked hand challenge. Today, I'm throwing drop 2 into some solo piano playing, into a ballad. I really want to add some bass notes to the drop 2 voicings to get them into my regular sort of solo piano systems, and add some inner voice movement, mix in some just typical, rooted solo piano voicings with it. But it's really a reminder that drop 2 doesn't have to be just this way to voice a melody and chord, 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 chord. It can be applied to any jazz piano situation. So I'm going to try here on I Fall in Love Too Easily. See if we can make this happen. I'm also going to break it up a little bit. Like I'm going to break up. I'm not going to play it all, every drop 2 chord like at once. I'm going to sort of break it up between the hands or even the notes. So I tried to mix it in where I could. I tried to break it up and really incorporate it like it was seamlessly any other voicing that I would use playing the solo piano ballad. Not bad. I want to try it again sometime to really try to see if I can incorporate it more without thinking about it too much. That's the point of kind of doing these challenges for 30 days is to try to get it to we're not actually like applying it, you know, as a concept, but just letting it happen. So I'm going to come back to this idea of the drop two and the ballad. I think it's pretty cool. All right, well, until tomorrow, happy practicing. What's up, folks? Maness here for day 12 of my drop two lock hand challenge. Today I'm doing John Coltrane's Countdown. Let me break it down for you. So Countdown is based off of the tune Tune Up, and here's how the melody sounds. Cycling through those 2 5s in 3 different keys, and then you put those Coltrane changes on it. He's got that super slick melody. It's a great tune. Shed it on its own, but we can play it in locked hands, which is kind of a traditional voicing, you might say, but it sounds super slick on a tune like this that is not a standard. So here we have our E minor 9, or 11, I guess, and I just have A, B, D, F sharp, A, F7. You don't have to play these roots, I'm just doing it so you can hear it. B flat, major 7, D flat 7, then G flat, major 7, A7 alto. Right, that's the first phrase. Then we take that whole thing down a whole step. Now you could do, for like the E flat 7, you could do diminished, but that sounds a little old-fashioned to me. Either way I think is cool, but it's up to you. E flat 7, A flat major 7, B13, E major 7, G7 alto. What's great about this is you get to go through all these keys very fast, and it really kind of trains you up. And then we have this, oh yeah. So I'm going to do that melody just in octaves, because remember, locked hands is an octaves device. When I get to that D flat, I'm going to hit the chord again. So C minor and the octaves for the melody, D flat 7, G flat major 7, A, D major 7, F7, E flat major 7, and then the melody. And then we'll fill in the chord. E flat major 7, E flat. So here's how it sounds in time. Tough. You lose that root, you lose that melody, you lose it all. So I'm going to keep going over this, but it's super slick when you nail it. So that's Coltrane's Countdown in locked hands. And until tomorrow, happy practicing. What's up, everybody? Maness here for day 13 of my drop two challenge. Today I am doing Miles Davis's Solar. I'm going to do 3 choruses. I'm going to do the melody. I'm going to comp a chorus, and I'm going to do a little locked hand solo, maybe drop two solo. We'll see how I'm feeling. Here we go. What's up, folks? Adam Maness here for day 14 of my Locked Hand Drop 2 February challenge. Happy Valentine's Day, all you lovers out there. Well, if you love Drop 2, you're in luck, because today we're going to be talking about some hand techniques that we can use, some finger techniques that we can use to give us a smoother sound between the chords. So if we are doing a very like chord type of movement with Drop 2, we'll focus on a scale here, the D, what is it, D minor 6 diminished scale, right? The Barry Harris. And it's a D melodic minor scale with that chromatic step between the 5th and the 6th. And we'll do a Drop 2, so we get our minor 6 diminished, minor 6 diminished, minor 6 diminished, what is it? Minor 6 diminished, minor 6 diminished. That pattern that keeps replicating. So, one thing you might notice is that it can seem, if you haven't done this much, we can do it maybe staccato, but how do we get a smoother sound? Well, our left hand is easy because we can literally just play the scale with whatever fingering works best for us. But for that right hand, smooth sound, especially on the top voice. Well, the answer is to try to alternate as much as possible between the 4th and 5th finger, even if you're jumping. Because you're going to have to jump anyway if you're using all 5. If you're just using the pinky for the top note, you have to jump anyway, so you might as well jump to the 4th occasionally so that you can get a smooth transition. It works especially effective on black keys. If there's a black key in the note, not necessarily though. Always have to do it, but you'll notice I go or 4th on top, 5th, 4th, down. But you can even do this on a succession of white keys if you wanted to do like the C major. You can go on the top note, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. Well, there I do 5. It's always better to have the 4th finger on the black key than the white key. So try that for yourself. Try the D minor 6 diminished scale, or any scale that mixes up black and white keys, and try alternating. Maybe start with just using the 4th finger on any black keys that are on that top note. But then start trying to do it with a succession of white keys or a succession of black keys. I think you'll find that you get a much smoother sound. All right, I'm back for tomorrow's day 15, and until then, happy practicing. What's up, everybody? Adam Maness here for day 15 of my Locked Hand Drop 2 challenge. Today, I want to focus on playing a minor chord, a Dorian sound, and we're going to mix arpeggios with scales. We're going to go up in arpeggio, and then we're going to come down in a scale in that French style that we've been doing this entire time. So if we start on D minor here, we start with the 4th on top, the F. And we'll go all the way up. Oh, sorry. Right? Skipping a note each time, going all the way up to the 11th. And then going down in our French style. Great exercise to practice getting those jumps, which really make you sound like you have this in your hands. If you're only doing sort of stepwise movements, it's not as effective as throwing in actual arpeggios. And you can start smaller if you want, with just that kind of. So we'll start in D minor, and then we'll do other keys. We can do G minor, C minor, really try to hit as many keys as you can. Take your time, go slow, really take your time to try to connect. Feel your hands starting to move while your fingers are still holding down the key. So you get a nice legato sound, or as much as you can. Okay, so that's our challenge for today. Join me tomorrow for day 16 of the Locked Hand Drop 2 Challenge, and until then, happy practicing. What's up, everybody? Maness here, and welcome to day 16 of my Locked Hands Drop 2 Challenge. Today, I want to talk about moving our tenths in our Drop 2 down a half step from any kind of relevant scale tone. That sounded like a lot, but really what I mean is, we have our shape here. This is our C major 9 going to our C major 6. Any point, and this is something that Barry Harris has talked about in his master classes about any kind of voicing, but this works especially well with Drop 2. Any time these outer voices can go down a half step to anything, irrelevant of the scale, as long as it comes back to where it is. You hear this in Great American Songbook melody crafting all the time. That sound. It works on minor chords. Like, this is a D minor, right? And I have, Andrew's going to come around over my shoulder here. So, I have, the Drop 2 is C, F, A, E going to D, F, A, D. And any time, I can go down a half step, and as long as I rock back, it's a great leading tone to any of these. No matter the scale. So I came up with a little lick here that I think is pretty cool. It goes a little something like... just to kind of help us work these into our normal language. So this is like a D minor, it's like a 2-5 to C. Going to the flat 3 diminished. One more time. And you could even do it on that diminished chord. So again, down the D minor. But the idea, and you could do this or anything else that really helps you get that rock, that chromatic rock. Anytime you're on any of these outside notes, they can rock back to the half step below. So that's it. That's the concept that I'm going to be working on today. Join me tomorrow for day 17 of the challenge, and until then, happy practicing. Hey, what's up, folks? Maness here for day 17 of my Locked Hands Drop 2 challenge. Today, I'm going to do an easy day of Sam Rivers' Beatrice. I'll do the first chorus Locked Hands and the second chorus Drop 2. Here we go. Drop 2. 17 of my locked hands drop 2 challenge. Anthony requested blue and green. I was thinking of that, Anthony. Here we go. Alexis, come over the shoulder. I'm going to do all locked hands, and I'm going to fill in the melody with the chords. So the melody is usually... locked hands. I'm going to start here. On G minor 13. The 13 is the melody. G, F, A, B flat. That's A7, sharp 9. Now our D, minor 9. D flat, sharp 11. That's our C to our C minor 7. Our F7. Our F7 with the D in the melody is D, E flat, F sharp, B, D. Then our B flat, sharp 11, major 7, sharp 11. A7, sharp 9 again. Let's do our little flick. D7. D7, flat 13. Check out this A minor 7. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take out that 7, so it's just a 4-note chord. It rocks back and forth. So here's how that sounds. Happy practicing. What's up, everybody? Adam Maness here. I'm just coming in from a gig. Got to make my daily drop 2 locked hands challenge happen, though. And I got asked about comping melodically using drop 2. And so I thought I'd do that today over the Great American Songbook standard, It Could Happen to You. And I'm going to really lean hard on those half-whole melodic minor systems that we've been talking about on dominant chords leading somewhere. So let's hear how it goes. Super fun. It's so much fun to comp using drop 2. I wouldn't do like a whole gig just comping drop 2, but it's great to throw in for a chorus or two just to kind of lighten it up, you know what I mean? Like when we're doing big spread voicings or big block chord voicings, just using these 4-note voicings that are kind of spread out a little more than we might usually use is great. So, all right, stay tuned for day 20 of my February Locked Hands Drop 2 challenge. And until then, happy practicing. Adam Maness here. I am a 41-year-old in a backwards baseball hat. Let's do this. Today I'm doing my drop 2 challenge on a Lydian sound. I'm going to go up a arpeggio. I'll start here on C major 7. Drop 2. And then I'm going to keep going up to the Lydian sound. So here, almost like it's a G major 7. And then back down. There's a C again. About D flat. D. E flat. It's a nice way to practice those Lydian arpeggios. And until tomorrow, happy practicing. What's up, everybody? I'm literally on a gig trying to get this challenge in. It's day 22, maybe? I'm going to do, we're playing the music of Art Blakey, which is super fun. So I'm going to read through one by one, which is a tune that I know, but I kind of don't know, but I'm going to just try to comp with it, lock in. Let's see how it goes. Alright, that was my best attempt at combing through it, lock ends. We just played this, so I'm trying to redeem myself from the read through before. Anyway, join me tomorrow for day 23 of my lock hands drop 2 challenge. Until then, happy practicing. Hey, what's up, everybody? Adam Maness here for day 24 of my Locked Hands Drop 2 challenge. Today I'm going to play Someday My Prince Will Come, the great tune in 3. I'm going to play it drop 2 and drop 3. I just threw a wrench into this whole challenge because I'm just adding this element here. I've been messing around with this. The more I play with the drop 2, the more I kind of like throwing in these drop 3 voicings. Let me show you what this is. So we know what a drop 2 is. Let's say we have a C minor 7, and we know the drop 2 is you take that second note from the top and you drop it down. Well, drop 3 is just like that, but you take the third note from the top and drop it down. This creates a really nice rounded sound. So I'm going to play this Someday My Prince Will Come, and I'll kind of walk you through how I'm thinking about this. So I start off drop 2, right, B flat 7. Now here is where my first opportunity for drop 3 comes. I'm going to, instead of, right, which is E flat, like a Lydian sound, I'm going to play that drop 3. And then to that G7. Again, from the top. Sorry. Isn't that nice? So there's some really nice things going on there. We drop it down. First of all, that shape with the 6th and the 3rd, beautiful. And then this little motion here of the bottom note. So great. And then moving on. Now that's just the drop 2. But I'm creating this little movement here that you can do on these. Drop 3 instead of that'd be drop 2, so that D flat diminished, we'll do the drop 3. So this drop 2 becomes this, a more open voicing, and now I can get this bass movement, right? Now here I'll go back to drop 2. Drop 2 here, because we're going to go drop 3 on the G7, right? Again, now we have the opposite bass movement of before, and then drop 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Back to drop 2. And then here, you do drop 3, drop 2. So those are the differences that you can get using that drop 2, drop 3. Again, it's super cool to hear the voicing all of a sudden change its entire shape like that, even though you're still doing a log hands thing. And those drop 3 voicings can be so, so beautiful and help you craft more like real voice leading, like you're doing 4-note chorale writing almost. So there's that. So experiment. Try the drop 3 with your drop 2s. And until next time, happy practicing. What's up, everybody? Adam Maness here for day 26 of my locked hand drop 2 challenge. Today, I want to play a locked hand scale in a very specific way. Andrew, can you come over my shoulder, please? So we've been doing these 2 different ways. Either the Barry Harris 6 diminished, which is cool, or just that steady, what we've been calling the French sound, based off of these inversions, moving the outside notes. Now, one thing that you might have noticed if you tried these, especially this French sound, is when you're coming down, and we've had a couple comments about this, it's a little harder than going up because you have to anticipate more where the chord is going to be. So I thought it'd be cool to practice today just all major scale with that French style going down. So I'm going to go around the circle of fourths, starting on C, just going down one octave and trying to get all keys. Here we go. Before we start, I'm not going to use any sustain pedal. That's another sort of value I'm going to put on this little practice session. I'm going to try to get as legato as I can without using any pedal. So the foot goes behind there. All right, here we go. Happy practice. What's up, everybody? Adam Maness here for day number 27 of my Locked Hands Drop 2 challenge. Today, I'm just going to blow over chords with autumn leaves. See what I can do with some locked hand voicings, improvising a solo. Andrew, if you're going to come around the shoulder. 1, 2, 1, 2.
What's going on, folks? Adam Maness here for the last day of my February Locked Hands Drop 2 challenge. Got some birthday decorations up there for my daughter's 10th birthday tomorrow. Got about 15 minutes left of February. Gonna go out the way we went in on Alone Together, but instead of playing the melody like day one, I'm going to improvise over the solo changes and see how it goes. We're gonna do more of these month-long challenges because they're super fun, get a lot done, and you just focus on this one thing. It's been great. All right, so here's Alone Together, Locked Hands, Drop 2. See you soon. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.